Hello everyone, a very good morning. Welcome to StudyIQ English, your favorite UPSC platform. So today, as we were going to discuss the Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition like every day, here's one development that owing to the auspicious Ganesh Chaturthi festival yesterday, today the Hindu newspaper editions were not released. At the same time, it doesn't mean that we should break the loop of our current affairs classes and we should not discuss anything that's important in the news. And therefore, I have resorted to Economic Times, Indian Express, the PIB, the Press Information Bureau, and collected 5 important news articles for you. Tomorrow we shall be back with analyzing Hindu, and for today, let's quickly see, without breaking our daily habit, that which events are making news. Okay? Should there be any questions, any doubts, do let me know through the live chat box. A very good morning, Shaggy. Very good morning, Order. Okay. So, as we start, here are 5 pieces of news. A very good morning, Pavan. The first news today we are talking about belongs to the GS paper 2, that is polity and governance. Under this news article, the president has promoted 2 High Court justices, Chief Justices named Justice Alok Aradhe and Justice Vipul Pancholi to the Supreme Court Collegium. Now, Collegium system from GS paper 2 polity is very important. We know that we had the first, second, third judges case in India, and all three have laid the foundation of how Supreme Court strongly believes that the composition of Supreme Court bench should be decided by senior judges in the court itself. They do not want any executive or legislative pressure in deciding who shall be the justice or the chief justice or any other practicing judge of the Supreme Court. This has erupted in a controversy as the president has promoted 2 senior judges, but the judges in the Supreme Court feel that this is unfair. Unfair to other states apart from Gujarat, unfair to other senior judges. What's the controversy? We shall see. A very good morning, Rishi. Very good morning, Ajay. The second news today is about tariffs again, that the government is saying that apart from the immediate effect which 50% tariffs will create on about $40 million worth of Indian goods, there are secondary and tertiary effects also, which means in the longer term also we will face problems because of the tariffs. This has been released by the Finance Ministry report, which says that our economy, even after 10 years, will be experiencing some or the other problem owing to this high tariff structure. The third article is about a very interesting development in the field of GS paper 3, that is science and technology. We are talking about India's defense technology. The Union Defense Minister has said that India is now ready to join 3 more forums. Rather, we will introduce 3 more doctrines in order to better promote Atmanirbharta in the defense sector. He has very proudly also released some data as he was giving a talk in Madhya Pradesh. The Union Defense Minister also says that India's dependence on imports in the sector of defense has come down. In fact, we are emerging as a leader exporter of defense equipments. The article will look into that. The next article is about, apart from PM Janman scheme, the Prime Minister has announced another very ambitious plan for tribal development, and it is a plan that shall be initiated from the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti this year, that's 2nd of October. About 1 lakh tribal villages will get completely remodeled. And the last news that I got for you is about a good development for India. We know that because of the US tariff pressure, we are looking for new trade partners, whether it's China, whether Japan, whether Philippines, and now we are also improving our ties with countries of European Union. If you remember recently, India and the UK had also passed a very strong commitment to create FTA, free trading agreement, just to boost bilateral trade ties. Today, once again, with other countries of the EU, including Switzerland, including Liechtenstein, and many others, India has created fresh agreements, especially Finland. Finland and India are emerging as major trade partners. So India-Nordic trade agreement is also going to become very strong. These are the newses for the day. Then apart from that, you know that in the coming week, we shall be witnessing an absolute lunar eclipse, one of its own kind. 82 minutes of blood red moon. If you want to know more about that, I have already posted in the current affairs video. Okay. And then at the same time, we are also discussing the controversy owing to the 130th Amendment Bill, whether the Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, is valid in saying that we need to remove all the MLAs, all the MPs who have criminal charges on them and who have been to jail for 1 month without any bail in between. For any offense that deserves the punishment of more than 5 years, we should throw them out of their positions. They have no right to sit in the parliament or legislatures at the state. Is it a valid thing, or is the opposition leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, valid when he says that this is an attempt to subvert democracy by the ruling party? That's again one debate that's happening. Okay, but these were the more important news articles for the day. So before we get tomorrow's Hindu, let's see what is going on right now. So right now the controversy is again about judicial review versus legislative powers in India. In the last 1 week, we have seen that GS paper 2 polity and governance have become important topics. Recently, one more controversy had broken out when the Supreme Court said that it has every right to ask the governors of state, why are they taking so long in passing a bill? Are they acting as the agents of central government and the ruling party by delaying all the bills and proposals created by state legislature? At the same time, it has been criticized majorly by the central government, saying that it is nothing but judicial activism. Too much interference of judiciary into legislative powers. That's one debate that is already going on right now. Today comes another one. A very good morning, Hemant. Another initiative, another controversy has erupted between judiciary and the legislative and the executive. Now, Indian democracy is very clear about power sharing. Not only vertical power sharing, but also horizontal power sharing. Talking about vertical power sharing, India, that is Bharat, is a union of states, Article 1 of the Indian Constitution. We are committed to a quasi-federal structure. Yes, the union government is more powerful, but at the same time, under the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, the state governments also have a right to pass laws regarding various subjects, including subjects like education, subjects like sanitation, subjects like policing and security. There is a clear-cut provision in 7th schedule which says that central government has a right to make laws in the union list, state government can legislate in the state list, and both of them can together legislate in the concurrent list. At the same time, we agree that we are quasi-federal. Slightly more power is tilted towards the union government. At the same time, we also have a horizontal power sharing. We know that in India, there is a centralized system of judiciary. There is an executive, the president, the governor, the lieutenant governor. At the same time, we have the legislatures, the central legislature at Lok Sabha, state legislatures in various states across 28 states in India. Some union territories also have a legislative assembly. But time and again, conflicts keep erupting in both these patterns, the horizontal power division also, the vertical power division also. Today, the issue is about horizontal power division. Legislatures feel Supreme Court is interfering in everything that they are doing. But Supreme Court says under the basic structure of Indian Constitution, Keshwanand Bharti case 1973, Supreme Court's right to interfere in any issue related to India's polity and governance is valid. Courts can do that. Courts are the custodian of Constitution. So therefore, it's absolutely okay if the courts come and interfere in the bills, laws passed by legislature. There is nothing wrong in that. Today, the debate that has erupted is within judiciary itself. The debate says that in the Supreme Court Collegium is a system of panelization. Judges who are working in the Supreme Court. Yes, we have the Chief Justice, but we can have, apart from that, up to 30 to 35 other judges also. This entire panel that takes power, that takes seat in the Supreme Court. All these judges are together called the Collegium. But in India, in the past, we have had certain cases like the first, second, and third judges' case, under which it was decided that apart from Supreme Court judges, nobody else will ever have the power to decide which judge sits at the Collegium. Supreme Court will have the power to decide the number of these judges and who shall be promoted to the Collegium level. Today, as two very famous High Court judges, High Court Chief Justices, namely Justice Vipul Pancholi and Justice Alok Aradhe, as these two judges have been promoted to the Collegium level, the other judges at the Supreme Court, including the only lady judge at the Collegium, they are having a problem. They are not happy with the decision for two reasons. What are these two reasons? Reason one is that other judges of the Supreme Court strongly feel that one, it is creating a disturbance in the hierarchy. To be promoted to the Collegium level, to become a justice at the Supreme Court, every judge has to have some level of seniority, some level of experience. And that hierarchy has to be maintained. You cannot supersede anybody's position by allowing another person from the line to come and represent at the Collegium level. It has to follow a strict hierarchy position. That has been broken here. The second problem these judges are having, as these two Chief Justices have made it to the Collegium, is about regional imbalance. A very key aspect of Collegium system is that every state should have equal representation at the Supreme Court level. The judges from all the high courts across Indian states should have a right, depending on the level of their qualification, seniority, experience. They should be getting an opportunity to represent at the Collegium level at the center. But as of late, people are saying repeatedly only judges from Gujarat have been getting this chance, which is undermining the very concept of a democratic collegium system. These are the two reasons why we have the controversy going on right now. It all started on August 7th, 27th August, that was yesterday, when the President of India has appointed Justice Vipul Manubhai Pancholi. He is the Chief Justice of Patna High Court right now. And another Justice Alok Aradhe, who is the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court right now. These, by the President, have been appointed as the judges of the Supreme Court of India. On paper, a very valid procedure. Yes, it is the President who does appoint the judges to the Supreme Court. There's nothing wrong. But there is an internal controversy that has been happening, and which is that as these judges are now appointed, Supreme Court has achieved its full capacity in the Collegium of 34 judges. That's the upper limit, and it has been met now. 34 to 35, beyond that it is not permitted. So complete strength has been achieved. This is also fine, there is nothing wrong with that. But the debate comes from the fact that Justice Manubhai Pancholi was promoted to the Supreme Court judge position. Other members of the Supreme Court Collegium, including the only lady member, Justice B.V. Nagaratna, have disagreed to this. They have showed their disagreement. They say that by promoting Justice Pancholi to the Supreme Court Collegium level, the Government of India, the executive, has bypassed and other senior meritorious judges who were in line, who deserved the opportunity to come at the Collegium before Justice Pancholi could have come. Given that they are more experienced, they have much better merit in terms of their service and experience, so you cannot bypass the line. No matter how enriching is the experience of Justice Pancholi, but there has to be a hierarchy that has to be followed. That's the principle of collegium appointment. By doing this promotion of these two judges in news, the President of India has indeed bypassed the normal hierarchical system that is expected, where the senior most and the meritorious most judges cannot be bypassed. The order has to be very rigid and very transparent. And apart from that, even the civil society groups, they have also raised concerns about regional imbalances. They are saying that Justice Pancholi will be the third judge from Gujarat in the Supreme Court, while there are other high courts in the country who are still underrepresented. Under the Collegium system's principle of fairness and transparency, every state needs an equal representation. So today we cannot ignore the regional imbalance either. And it is these two causes that are causing the controversy. As Justice B.V. Nagaratna, the only lady Supreme Court judge, has pointed out, saying that we cannot bypass the more senior judges. That's laying a very unfair precedent. Now, long back during the times of emergency, Indira Gandhi time, 1975, something similar had happened. So these kind of controversies in India's political domain are not new ones, really. Okay, because long back, even during Indira Gandhi's tenure, there was something similar that had happened. Some judges from Uttar Pradesh High Court, Allahabad High Court, were promoted by bypassing the hierarchy level. And that had created huge dissent against the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. She was accused of being extremely discretionary in the use of powers. So remember, these are historical debates. There is nothing new in this. The only new argument here is about the regional imbalance as such. So today, Justice B.V. Nagaratna is saying that more senior judges should not have been bypassed. Another thing is that she says Justice Pancholi has 57th rank in the All India seniority list of High Court judges. So it makes no sense that he was promoted to the Collegium while 56 judges before him were not given the same opportunity. Talking about regional imbalances, Gujarat High Court already has two senior judges from its High Court in the Supreme Court. So, what was the need for third appointment as well? This, as per Justice B.V. Nagaratna, is a very, very regionally biased initiative. And we need other important big high courts in India like the Allahabad High Court, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, all these are big states. Remember, talking about population and land area, it is Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh who are the largest states in India, not only in terms of numerical strength but also in terms of their area. So, according to the other judges, ignoring these states makes no sense. They have to have representation in a fair number in the Supreme Court. And by doing this sudden bypassing of seniority, the president has not done justice to the collegium. That's the complaint. So it is very close to many Indian articles and many Indian constitutional provisions, as you very rightly mentioned, order. Yes, we are talking about the right to constitutional remedies also, but more than that, it is about Article 124, how the appointment of Supreme Court judges happens through the President after consulting the Chief Justice of India and other judges whom the President thinks is necessary. Then it is Article 217, which talks about appointment of High Court judges in India. We also mentioned the Collegium system. Judicially, the Collegium system in India had a very rough evolution. It came after many important cases, as I said, the second and the third judges case, 1993, 1998 respectively. After that, the Collegium system began the normal practice for nomination of judges, appointment of judges at the Supreme Court level. It's a panel of judges that operates at the Supreme Court level. So, the Chief Justice of India plus 4 senior most Supreme Court judges form the Supreme Court Collegium. These are the people. This is the group that recommends appointments, transfers, promotions of various other judges. The principles that are used for appointment are very clear. One thing is experience and merit, and second thing, as I said, is regional representation. So, what do you think? Is this decision taken by our Honorable President Shri Draupadi Murmu by promoting 2 judges, Patna High Court, Gujarat High Court, to the Collegium system now by bypassing the long list of 57 other meritorious judges and a third judge by Gujarat, from Gujarat in the Supreme Court? Is it fair, or does it really raise questions about the fairness and transparency of the Supreme Court Collegium system? Is the Supreme Court objection something like judicial activism, or Supreme Court has every right to defend all the clauses that are important to maintain a transparent collegium? You can let me know your comments. your feelings, whatever you think about this issue in the comment box. Now let's proceed with another news that is becoming important and controversial. Yes, Donald Trump tariffs will have secondary, tertiary, long-term sustained impacts on the Indian economy. As per the latest update by the Finance Ministry, it is not only about Indian manufacturers losing their market in the US, it is not only about many people in India losing their jobs as Indian goods become uncompetitive in US market. It is also every bit about how our GDP will be reduced by close to 1 to 1.5% in times to come. It is as much about India's national income, India's export surplus, everything being in threat. So this is all the result of the 50% tariff punishment that we are experiencing in reality since yesterday. On August 27, that was yesterday, United States President Donald Trump finally had the last laugh. The another 25%, that is the second 25% dose of tax, 25 plus 25, 50 total, on Indian goods. Indian goods worth rupees $48 billion came into practice from yesterday. It was formally imposed since yesterday. It became functional. We are looking at a massive loss across textile, garment, gems and jewelry, shrimp, that's marine products, leather, machinery, chemicals, pharmaceutical, raw materials. Yes, there are certain segments like aluminum, iron, steel, which have got some exemption, but still, majority of the manufacturing segment products will have this huge impact. Finance Ministry has noted that although immediate impact may be limited, today we can manipulate, we can solve the problem through RBI interventions. I told you yesterday, reduction in repo rate, reduction in cash reserve ratio, pumping in more liquidity, more purchasing power in the system, controlling inflation. Second thing is by encouraging the MSME sector, by diversifying our trade markets. All these are limited small term solutions that we can think about. But what about in the long term? Imagine if the largest trading partner for your country, that's US for us. Imagine a country with whom we share the highest numerical recorded bilateral trade in goods and services. A country that houses majority of our diaspora suddenly snaps trade ties with us. What kind of a knee jerk impact does it have on our economy? That is something we need to think. The long term impacts on employment, supply chains, investment, all of that is going to get very, very badly impacted. And that's the concern that's raised by the Finance Ministry today. Finance Ministry is saying the fact that $48 billion of exports across the sectors we discussed is a very small loss to begin with. This is just something that we are seeing on the surface. It's like the tip of the iceberg. But then below, there is a much bigger iceberg that's around the corner. Because in the long term, what about the manufacturers and their employees who were working to create textiles, garments, gems and jewelries, who were working in sectors like procuring marine products, shrimp, fish, all of that? Today, if all these industries shut down, how soon can we find them an extra market, whether it's UAE, whether it's Japan, South Asia, or Russia? Immediately, we cannot change the river of $48 billion of exports into other markets. It takes time. It takes time to create other foreign free trade agreements with other countries. It takes time to control supply chains. It takes time to find other markets for Indian products. Suddenly, it's not going to happen. So, what will happen to the employees who are working right now in MSME, that's medium to small scale industries, handicrafts, and other labor intensive segments? Yesterday, we spoke about the gendered impact of it. 50% of women in India who are working in the labor force, already very few are working, but those who are working in the labor intensive segment, informal segment. As of now, already these people are victims of vulnerable unemployment. I have told you these are the ghost employees of India. They are invisible employees because they do jobs that are unregulated. No taxation, no social benefit. So nobody can measure their economic output. These are already vulnerably unemployed. Today, if all these sectors shut down because of high tariff, they will also become victims of structural plus cyclical unemployment. Structural, because jobs will be very few, and so many people who will become unemployed will need these jobs. There is a mismatch between number of jobs available and people who need them. That is structural unemployment. Then there is another side to India's structural unemployment. Although there are many jobs available in the service sector, healthcare, education, e-commerce, hospitality, but majority of informal employees are not suited to work here because they do not have any command over IT skills. They do not have any technical STEM education. They are used to physical labor. How will they get jobs in service sector? They cannot get. So structural employment in India happens in both the areas. One, because people are there, jobs are very few. Second, jobs are there, but people are not employable enough to get those jobs. Structural unemployment will increase. At the same time, we call this cyclical unemployment, cyclical chronic unemployment. When a business cycle shuts and people lose jobs because of that, that's called cyclical unemployment. Typically, India does not experience too much cyclical unemployment because India is more famous for having structural, vulnerable, seasonal, and disguised unemployment. Cyclical happens more in the markets like US and Europe, which are completely privatized and market based. But today, when all these segments will close down, textile, gems, marine, manufacturing, machines, then we will experience a lot of cyclical unemployment. When businesses close, too many people will absolutely become unemployed, like what happened during COVID lockdown. Even then, we experienced a huge surge in cyclical unemployment. That is still not completely sorted out. So, what happens then? If businesses are closing down, who will invest in India? Which foreign investor will be happy to invest in a country where thousands and thousands of domestic industries are shutting down? Many MNCs will also call out and finish their operations in India as the market and the stock values also fall down. These are the secondary impacts that will happen in times to come. But what about the tertiary impacts that we will experience for years altogether? What about that? Say 10 years from now, 20 years from now. The problem is that India and US have a very close retail and manufacturing chain setup. They have very integrated supply chains. Today, when these supply chains are broken, for India to start from scratch and build an independent supply chain, something like China has already done long back, will be a very difficult challenge. Because we know whether it's oil energy, whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it is products like rice, wheat, whether it's products like fertilizers, we know that a lot of raw material actually comes from countries like China and US. With US supply chains are ready to break. With China there is always uncertainty. No wonder today Indian government led by Mr. Shri Modi, he is so persistently talking about Atmanirbharta, self-sufficiency. It is not a new thing. In 2015 when we launched the Skill India mission, Startup India mission, that time also we had made a commitment that the world is having a problem. There are lots and lots of tariff wars and trade issues. So we should become self dependent. But that time we didn't know that within 10 years an emergency is going to come. That self sufficiency or Atmanirbharta will not be a luxury, it will become a necessity. Today, that time has come, unfortunately. So, our manufacturing and supply chains are under big threat in the long term. Second problem is balance of payments. If export revenue completely falls down, so India was experiencing an export surplus across many sectors, across the trade in, say, for example, machinery, pharmaceutical, or the chemical segment, gems and jewelry segment in the US. Today, when all the export items will become unaffordable for US consumers, they will stop buying our products. Our products will completely get wasted. We will experience a phenomena that's known as too many goods, but hardly anybody to buy them. So, which means supply chains will get overburdened. There is no consumption demand. Where will we dump all these products? Where shall we go and dump all these products? That will become a big problem for us. So, therefore, what happens? Who will give us export income? The revenue that we earn today across all these segments from US in terms of our export income, what happens to that? When your export income starts falling down, you will experience a poor balance of payment. You will experience something that's known as an export deficit. In that case, our import incomes will increase, export incomes will start decreasing. Very dangerous for our economy. It will definitely threaten our national income in the long run. And now, domestic demand stress. Now, let's understand that many of these exporters across especially textile and garment who are selling right now in the US market, they all come from rural, semi-urban areas. Out of the blue, if demand for their products finishes, where will they find alternate consumers for their products? These are export oriented products. They are suited to match US consumption demand. Who will buy them in India? People do not have that kind of purchasing power except very few urban cities. So, therefore, exporters will start earning much lesser. When exporters are shutting down, then even the rural and semi urban consumption will suffer in the long run. So, all in all, we will get caught up in a vicious cycle tomorrow where demand struggles because there is no supply, and supply out of the blue cannot be created when companies will shut down one after the other. So, what is the government doing? Well, really, it's a very stressful situation for the government, and the proof that the government is working very hard is one. Just recently, we had closed the UK FTA, the free trade agreement with United Kingdom. Second, we have already started negotiating with countries like Philippines, like Japan. The Prime Minister is going to Shanghai Cooperation Organization in first week September. Yes, India is doing everything it can to forget the ugly past with China and anyhow boost trade with China. Right now, we have not many options left actually. Then at the same time, we are also considering many more free trade agreements with countries like Chile. Chile is very rich in rare earth metals, rare earth materials. So which could also give us an alternative to China dependence, Chinese dependence. Then New Zealand. We are also trying to reduce our over dependence on China and US after this shock that we got. Similarly, one more news article today will tell you how the government is creating another very important free trade agreement with four countries, particularly in the European Union. I will discuss that. Then we are also trying to improve the output of rice, kharif crops. We will create more food buffers. In fact, the government is also planning to put the ethanol petrol issue on hold right now. The government doesn't want to take a risk and divert any food item into any commercial domain. We need food security immediately. So these are the steps we are taking to keep the inflation moderate. Similarly, we are also trying to reduce the excessive import dependence on oil markets. We are diversifying our oil routes also. That's the reason why we continue to import from Russia, because that's cheaper as compared to importing from US. Although today's newspaper is also saying that oil prices have started fluctuating in a big way already. I will get a detailed news on that also. Then what are the future reforms? Ultimately, we have to give more ease of doing business to Indian private sector companies. Once again, times have come for liberalization and privatization. The LPG, not the G, this time only LP. Liberalize, privatize for domestic private companies, because we know we cannot depend too much on foreign investors. Reduce tax burden on them, allow them to improve their manufacturing capacity. Similarly, I spoke yesterday about the GST reforms. The government has gone a little soft on the goods and services tax, only to promote entrepreneurs. In fact, GST has also been made structurally easier by mixing the 12 and 28% slabs into one. We are trying to reduce multiple slabs under GST. Although state governments are a little worried that they will lose income, but the government is calculating something out. And we are talking about PM Viksit Bharat Rozgar Yojana, more employment generation to poor people by the government. Ultimately, Skill India, Atmanirbhar India, do skilling in education itself. So, we are creating more ITIs, industrial training institutes, to teach Indian youth into self-sufficiency, self-income generating skills. So that is something that we can do in the short term. Let's see which results do we experience in the long run, but definitely a difficult situation for India. Yes, that's a very good question, Pavan. Talking about steel and aluminium, yes. US has actually given us exemptions in these sectors. Reason being that India dominates the supply chain. So I told you yesterday, a segment in which you are very powerful. For example, for India, it could be the dairy industry. For India, it could be pharmaceutical, iron, steel, aluminum. Here we dominate. So there what happens, US, if it puts too much tariff, US itself will suffer. So US is playing very smart right now. Although 50% is the limit for tax for the tariff across all the products, but some 5-6 products including iron steel have been given an exemption because it is their selfish interest. If we dominate a supply chain, they cannot do anything to us. Yes, absolutely valid statement. Space sector, absolutely. We are also going Atmanirbhar in the space sector. In fact, that's the next article for the day. So quite a valid comment there. So this comment comes from Shri Rajnath Singh, the Honorable Raksha Mantri, who is addressing a very critical seminar called the Ran Samvad seminar in Madhya Pradesh Defence College. In this seminar, he has released a very important statement which is called Joint Doctrine for Multi-Domain Operation, MDO. Joint Doctrine for Multi-Domain Operation. What does it mean? It means as we are trying to go Atmanirbhar, self-dependent in defense sector also. You just saw yesterday how 2 stealth frigates were included in Indian Army, INS Udaygiri, INS Himgiri. Plus, India is also investing majorly in self-production of drones, missiles. The DRDO has already vamped up its production manufacturing process. ISRO is working alongside. Another good thing is that Defense Minister says, let's create a stronger coordination, a stronger simultaneous consultation mechanism between the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. Because these three are the 3 pillars of India's defense system. And today, the world, everywhere, not just India, all the countries are worried about their security. The geopolitical situation of the world is very volatile right now. As I told you 2 days before, NATO countries have already made a commitment to improve their GDP on defense up to 5%. Means 5% of their GDP goes into defense now. Some similar lesson was taught by Donald Trump to Taiwan also. He recently told Taiwan that please increase your GDP on defense to 5%. So India definitely cannot stay behind here. We have to do something to boost our defense capacity. After all, we are sandwiched between Pakistan and China, two unpredictable neighbors always. So, under this commitment known as Joint Doctrine for Multi-Domain Operations, the Raksha Mantri has said that today we need to integrate land, air and sea defense, also include cyber defense, space defense and cognitive defense. What are these 3 segments? Just now, Order, you spoke about space sector. That's what he's also saying. He's saying India and its space commitments are also increasing. Remember the Axiom mission. Subhanshu Shukla ji coming as the first person to go to International Space Station from India, the upcoming Gaganyaan mission, Shukrayaan mission. All of that is being done. Plus, India is also, through the support of countries like Russia, investing much more in space satellite navigation to support climate mitigation, better agriculture output. In all this, we need space defense also. Just like defense was a crucial thing on land, today it has become crucial on the space also. As all the countries, including private commercial companies, they are also entering the space segment now, which means more defense for India's space equipment is the need of the hour. Then he said that we should also look at cyber defense because cyber attacks, catfishing, and cyber crimes are becoming quite common. Multiple times I keep reminding you of how Israel had very quickly and a very smart way hacked all the mobile phones in Iran just few weeks before the formal war had started. You see, cyber attacks or hacking the defense system of the opposite country, hacking the medical or the mapping offices of the other country becomes a key agenda of war right now. So therefore, protection and defense in cyber is equally important. Similarly, cognitive, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. Whether it's agriculture, whether it's space, whether it's defense, the use of AI technology has expanded big time. But since it's a technology, it can be subjected to piracy, it can be subjected to stealth. So therefore, we need much better protection of our intellectual property rights. We need much better protection of our programs, of our secret protocols in the AI domain. So this is equally in line with the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission that make national security completely self-dependent, depend less on others, in fact start becoming an export surplus country. Like Philippines is ready to buy BrahMos. Apart from Philippines, 20 other countries are already interested in buying BrahMos from India. The missile India had created with Russian help. Okay, so this is a very good sign. So today the Raksha Mantri is saying that India actually has made a great step from being dependent on imports in the defense sector to now becoming world's largest exporter of certain equipments like Tejas LCA, jet engines, fifth generation aircraft fighters, missiles. India has come a long way. Also, he says that long back in 2014, we used to import we were the largest countries to import so much of defense material. From there, we have come to a situation where now our name is coming in the exporting list. So that is a big achievement. We have indigenous developments like Akash missiles, the ATAGS artillery system, INS Vikrant, that is reflecting our growing capacity every day. Also, we are now trying to cut our import dependence on jet engines, drones, especially, and fifth generation fighter aircrafts. A very good example could be Operation Sindoor, where India used all its indigenous technology to fight the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. That spoke volumes about our self sufficiency. So, under this new statement issued, that's Joint Doctrine for Multi Domain Operations, Shri Raksha Mantri also said that we want to create an integrated defense system that coordinates and protects land, sea, air, cyber, and space and cognition, that's AI. He also said that 10-year plan should be created for modernizing through research and development in future defense technologies. Then he's saying that we have drone training compulsory sessions for all our army personnel from 2027 onwards. Besides, specialized units like Rudra Brigade, Shakti Ban Brigade, and Divya Shastra Battery are being created, which are specialized into drone warfare, because drone warfare is the future now. We have seen in the case of Azerbaijan, Armenia, Iran, Israel, Russia, Ukraine, and also Operation Sindoor. Then you already must have seen in the news the Sudarshan Chakra mission, the nationwide shield of modern, locally manufactured defense technology, integrated system. So that's what he has said. Quite an amazing news there. And now we talk about an initiative taken by the central government to promote well-being, welfare, empowerment of India's 1 lakh tribal villages. This is known as Adi Karma Yogi Abhiyan. Very important. GS paper 2, social justice, vulnerable communities including scheduled tribes. Okay, so under the Dharti Abha Abhiyan, the Adi Karma Yogi will be initiated as a crucial mission to promote more tribal outreach across 1 lakh tribe dominated villages. Villages where there is a higher number of tribal, particularly scheduled tribal population will be targeted here. Total 1 lakh such villages. From 2nd October onwards, we will implement the plan. These villages are located in 324 districts in India. Training will take place for across 20 lakh officials at levels of district, block, village, and villagers will be trained by central government officials into 5-year development plans. Now, long back, much before the modern Niti Aayog is there, India had created the Planning Committee long back in 1938. Then came the Planning Commission 1950. From 1951 onwards, we also started planning into our 5-year planning aspiration. Until the 12th 5-year plan, India was planning according to 5-yearly plans. If you remember the 5-year plans, the first one talking about agriculture, second spoke about industrialization, all of these. Today, we know that at the central government level, we do not follow that model as much. We follow the Niti Aayog model, cooperative federalism model. But talking about village development, the government has felt that for tribals and the villages specifically, we do need a 5-year plan. Every 5 year comes with a different agenda for tribal development. Focus areas will be, say, the first 5-year plan will only talk about nutrition of the tribals. Everything possible shall be undertaken, from Poshan Abhiyan to Poshan Vatika, just to promote the well-being of women and children in the tribal belts. Then comes health, vaccination, reproductive health care, protection and awareness against NCDs, non-communicable diseases, housing, providing concrete housing, education, formal school education, vocational education to tribals, livelihoods, teaching them through the self-help group model, teaching them through the cooperative society model to take up small medium scale business ventures. Already today, the Indian government provides a minimum support price MSP on products manufactured by the tribals, which are called minor forest products MFP. These are sold by the government through a very important body called TribeFed. The government gives an assured income to the tribals even in case of low market or even in the case of loss in the market. Tomorrow, if tribals become better skilled at doing some business through the minor forest product, it can mean wonders for their own livelihood. That's again one plan under this Karma Yogi mission. And now under this mission, the government will create Adi Seva Kendra. Adi Seva Kendra means single window centers for tribal welfare. Every village will have one fully functional Adi Seva Kendra. Facilities will be like if the government has made a welfare scheme for the tribals, officers will go and sensitize the workers about it. They will educate the tribals about it. Similarly, grievance redressal. If the schemes are not getting implemented, if tribals feel despite the Adi Karma Yogi mission, we are not getting enough training or not salary, we are not getting enough salary, not much development is happening, they can come and lodge a complaint at the Adi Seva Center. Then contact details of the nodal person. One person will be in touch with the tribals to address their complaints. Officially, visits will keep happening from the Adi Seva Kendras into the tribal hamlets and villages. For example, every Monday, one appointed officer will visit the village and do follow up about how the welfare schemes are being implemented. Quite an ambitious plan and definitely an important one on social justice. Now, the last news that we should discuss today is again international relations GS paper 2, India European Union relationship. Then it is also GS paper 3 because we are talking about one more free trade agreement that's coming up. You already know about the United Kingdom India FTA that was signed last month. But today a new development has happened. Finland, as a key northern European country, as a major member of the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a major supporter of Ukraine, has supported India absolutely, has said that Finland and India will explore more free trade agreements, they will enhance bilateral trade ties, and they will also have regular exchange when it comes to culture, when it comes to AI, and when it comes to other segments like food security. So let's see what's the agreement. And alongside one another small news is a part of this bigger news. So the Prime Minister Modi has had a detailed discussion with Finland's Prime Minister Alexander Stubb. They have spoken about many problems. One is Russia-Ukraine. Now, Finland, as a member of NATO, strongly supports Ukraine. It has condemned war crimes done by Russia against Ukraine. At the same time, it has said that India's decision to import oil from Russia, India's decision to continue the crude oil import from Russia is okay because that is completely in line with India's own need. So Finland was quite supportive of India. Second issue they spoke about was to improve India-European Union trade and cultural relationships. The third thing they spoke about is trade in technology, especially AI and semiconductors. This is happening because India is now trying to find more markets for its export commodities as the US tariffs has completely shattered us. Apart from that, another wonderful development has happened, which means not only will India create better trading ties with all various countries of EU, but there is a separate agreement also that India has signed only with four countries called Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland. This is referred to as Free Trade Agreement with European Free Trade Association, the EFTA. For 2026 prelims, it is a very important question. Which countries are a part of the EFTA? European Free Trade Association. Within European Union, India will have specifically important free trade agreement with these four countries. Please remember the names Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland. This is apart from other FTAs signed with other EU countries. Although it was initiated last year in 2024 October, now it will catch pace fast. These developments shows that today EU is not only an important strategic partner for India, but also Finland is located in northern Europe. It becomes a very important geopolitical move for India to have good relations with a country like Finland. Then, in terms of trading numbers, if US is the leading, UAE is the second, then European Union is India's third largest trading partner, a key source of technology, investment, and AI related trade pacts. Then ongoing negotiations are already in place with the countries of EFTA and EU separately. So that's very important. Which areas will all these countries cooperate in, which means Finland and India? Finland and India will cooperate through, as I said, AI, digital governance, semiconductors, then green energy transition. EU will support, Finland will support India. Finland being one country which is actually quite successfully implementing its nationally determined contributions, bringing down its carbon footprint. Today, it's ready to support India in manufacturing of solar cells. It's ready to support India by supplying AI chips. It's ready to support India for transitioning towards more green energy. It will also help India in finding solutions to forest management problem. Then education segment and research will also open up to Indian students in Finland in a much bigger way. When talking about Russia-Ukraine conflict, India maintained its position that Russia is a key trade and security partner for India. Although India condemns the war that has happened on Ukrainian people, but India once again was very diplomatic without saying anything much about Russia either. And India said, I am absolutely ready for a peaceful resolution to this problem. The war should end, anyhow, it should end. Finland also agreed. It was quite supportive of India, although it strongly supports Ukraine, but it said nothing wrong about India and Russia relationship. That's a great development. Then the dialogue reflects India is trying to balance today as much as it can. On the one hand, souring relationships with the US. On the other hand, Russia-India equation. Coming in the background of Russia-China relationship. Today, China says no matter what happens in the world, but Russia, China will always be the best friends. In that backdrop, India is trying to balance its relation with Russia also, improve trade ties with China also. Plus, at the same time, exploring markets in the European Union with special focus on four countries I just told you: Liechtenstein, Norway, Iceland, and Switzerland. The separate EFTA. So this means, yes, we are trying to boost our trade export capacity. Now, as I said, the EFTA is slightly different from the free trade agreement with other countries of EU. This is a very exclusive one with only four such countries which I spoke about. The key agenda of EFTA is going to be, please remember, preferential entry for Indian goods in high value European markets. Now, preferential entry is a very important clause, very important clause. When two countries sign a trade pact, especially free trade agreement, then they are bound to respect their partner country by allowing some special concession on tariffs on that one country. Earlier, US used to do that for India. Now it is not doing any such thing. But today, in this small structure, India, Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland, Iceland, in this small EFTA and India, yes, these countries are ready to give Indian goods preferential entry into their markets, special concession and discount. So that lesser import duty means cheaper Indian goods in their market, and then they will be sold better. More export income for India. Similarly, They are talking to commit to 100 billion investment in India in another 15 years. More employment in India. That's wonderful. Strategic diversification. We have to come out of our traditional trade partners and their everyday geopolitical drama, like the US, like the China. Yes, we need newer trade partners who are more committed to economic transparency, like EU, like UK, and now like the small EFTA. So that's all for the news today. I shall see you tomorrow with Hindu 29th August Daily Edition. Today, this was all the general news that was in the picture. Hope you enjoyed the session. If you have, then do let me know in the comment box which other video do you want for the current affairs segment. I shall be absolutely there with that video, and keep following the news, and see you tomorrow with another much more detailed and much more Hindu specific news session. Thank you so much.